So this physics problem is about projectile motion for a football that's kicked at 37 degrees from the ground with a velocity of 20 meters per second. So the first step is to draw a diagram that represents this. And once you draw your diagram, you can start conceptualizing how it forms a triangle. The triangle is 20 meters per second for the hypotenuse. The angle is 37 degrees from the ground. The height of the trajectory is the 90-degree opposite, and the ground is the adjacent. With that information, we will list out our variables and plug them into an acronym called SOHCAHTOA. We want to find the maximum height. So to find the opposite, we're going to use the hypotenuse over the opposite over hypotenuse and the sine angle for it. Just like that. Then we will find sine 37 and multiply it by 20 so that the 20 cancels out and we solve for the opposite, which is 12.04 meters per second. So now with that knowledge, we can find the time it takes for the football to travel upwards during this diagonal trajectory of 20 meters per second, now that we know that 12.04 meters per second is involved. We'll use this equation and plug in v sub f, which is velocity final. It's going to be 0. And the reason why it's 0 is because at the pinnacle of the trajectory, or at the maximum height, the ball is actually not moving upwards anymore. So that velocity going upwards of 12.04 becomes 0. And the initial velocity of our upward trajectory is 12.04. A is acceleration, which is gravity, and gravity is always negative 9.8. This is a plus symbol. And it's multiplied to time. So if we find time, we will be able to plug it into a third equation to solve for the maximum height. So 0 equals 12.04 minus 9.8 t, and we subtract 12.04 from both sides, and then we divide both sides by negative 9.8 to cancel out the multiplication that's happening. And our final answer for time is 1.23. So we're going to take velocity and we're going to take time and solve using this equation down here. So x sub f is our height, x sub I is from the ground, v sub I is our vertical force of 12.04, because we're trying to find height, not the distance. And then the time is 1.23, time plus half times gravity times 1.23 squared. So we plug that in, you simplify, and your final answer is 7.4 meters per second. No, 7.4 meters, sorry. And that's just for the height. Letters B, C, D, and E will be completed in the next video. Actually, we can solve for B. The time it takes for this entire trajectory to happen and the football to hit the ground is going to be this time, 1.23, which is the time it takes to reach maximum height, but then doubled because that's the time it takes to hit the ground. So we'll do 1.23 times 2, and you get 2.46 seconds. That's an S.